Hi, this is Timothy Zahn, author of Thrawn, and you're listening to Star Wars Reactions. Good for you.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is built on hope.
And redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Hello there. Welcome to Star Wars Reactions. Hello, everybody. We're going to have so much fun today. This is going to be a blast. So let's just get going. My name is Aaron Harris, and joining me is my co-host, the man with the most, the incredible guy himself, the David Mutters. David, brother, how you doing?
I am doing really good. I thought you were going to do a Rebels reference to a certain Lasat to your Ezra, but all right, we'll talk about that later. Talking about, but no, I'm ready to react. Looking forward to talking to you, and we got a psychology corner for everyone at the end, and this is gonna be a lot of fun, buddy.
Oh, it certainly is. And as you can see, my mind is in 100 different places right now because of a certain Lasat that showed up in The Mandalorian this week. So, so this will be fun. This will be interesting. It is our March Reactions Madness. We're coming to a close on that as we have the last two episodes of March of the Bad Batch and of The Mandalorian. Of course, Mandalorian will continue into April. But today we are going to discuss The Mandalorian, mainly because I have to get it off my chest now, and we'll do the next episode, The Bad Batch. So we are discussing The Mandalorian, chapter 21, entitled The Pirate. This was released March 29th of 2023, directed by Peter Ramsey, and written by Jon Favreau for Vice President. Here we go. This action-packed episode begins with Pirate King Gorian Shard confronting Greef Karga for taking out several of his pirates, as seen in an earlier episode this season. Shard rains down blaster fire as Greef Karga leads the people of Nevarro into the lava flats. Before leaving the city, though, Greef was able to get a holo transmission to Captain Carson Teva of the New Republic of Delphi Rangers. Zeb Orellios walks over and speaks to Teva about Nevarro. In the meantime, Aaron and David were losing their minds. Teva then takes the transmission to Colonel Tuttle on Coruscant. No help is given because Nevarro is not part of the New Republic. Teva takes things into his own hands by tracking down R5, who is at the Mandalorian covert. He informs Mando of Greef Karga's situation and leaves in his X-Wing. Later that night, Mando makes a petition to help Greef Karga and the people of Nevarro, and ultimately the covert itself. Mando tells the covert of land that Greef has offered him, and how the children could once again play in the sunshine. Paz Vizsla backs up Mando by stating that Mando and Bo-Katan didn't back down when it came time to save his son Ragnar. Then Bo-Katan then prepared the Mandalorian soldiers for an attack on Gorian Shard and his pirates. Mando, with Grogu, diverted Shard and his Corsair battleship away from the city, while Bo-Katan dropped two teams of Mandos into the streets of Nevarro. The battle ensues where Mando takes out the pirates in the city, while the Mandalorians take out the pirates in the city, while Din and Bo destroy Gorian Shard's ship. taking down outside the city limits. Brief Karga offers Mando's land a new home. The armorer and Bo-Katan have a very interesting conversation afterwards, in which the armorer now sees Bo as the one to unite the Mandalorians because she saw the mythosaur. The armorer tells Bo to remove her helmet, and when they join the other Mandalorians. The armorer explains to the other Mandos that Bo can walk both worlds, the world of the children of the Watch and the Mandos who don't keep their helmets on, and that it is time to retake Mandalore. The episode ends with Carson Teva again, as he is coming upon a wrecked New Republic prison transport, which looked suspiciously like a Lambda-class shuttle. This was carrying Moff Gideon, they discover, but his body was nowhere to be found. A single clue was left to indicate that Gideon was freed by Mandalorians. Dun, dun, dun.
Or was he? Yeah.
Or was he? We may never know. Actually, we'll know by the end of the season. I guarantee that. We'll find out real soon. That's our synopsis. Let's just go into our initial reactions. David, brother, kick it off for us.
Sure. This is to me a great episode. This felt like a good old Saturday morning serial. My dad talked about going and seeing those back in the day at the local theater. And, for me, it felt like a Saturday morning serial because you have Gorian Shard and his bad guys occupying a town, and Din and the Mandos, they ride in to the town to beat the bad guys and return the town to the people, So not only was it that kind of fun, but it was also, I was really surprised that the armor telling Bo to remove her helmet. I mean, wow, I did not expect that. That whole thing was very intriguing. With that happening and some of the things the armorer said, I before I wasn't really sure where the season was going, but I tell you now, I think I can see it. We'll have to wait, but I think I know how it's going to play out here a bit. But I'll end my initial reactions by saying I love seeing Zeb, incredible. Steve Blum, voicing him. It was cool to see Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa. I know you love to say his last name, and Deborah Chow, and I tell you what, I'm really liking this Carson Teva character, and just wanted to throw that in there. So those are just some of my initial reactions. How about you, buddy?
Carabast.
I knew it was coming.
Oh, you knew it was coming. Of course you did. Oh my gosh, what an episode! I can honestly say, and I'll admit this, that once Zeb walked onto the screen, I don't remember anything else about the episode till I watched it the second time. And then, man, what an episode! Fantastic. It was great. Loved it. It was perfection. It was an incredible way to set up the rest of the season. And like you said, we were kind of just felt like we were drifting. We were drifting with the wind. We didn't have our sails set in the direction we were going, but the sails just filled with air, and we are driving in a direction now. We know where we're headed, and this is going to be an incredible rest of the season. I can feel it in my bones. It's going to be great. I loved the action, the suspense, the mystery. It's all fantastic. The the ship battle, the ship just kind of bombarding the city, and the fighters having their dogfight, and the Mandalorians fighting in the street. Oh man, perfect, absolutely great. And of course, Zeb. I mean, yeah, Dave and Deborah and Rick were there, but we got Zeb. I mean, of the entire Rebels crew, he's the last one I expected to see in live action. And they did it. All right. I could go all night on this, so I'm just going to back off here. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Best episode of the season. Hands down the best. So yeah, there we go. So let's go ahead and jump into some of our talking points here and see where we go. There's a lot to talk about in this episode, but let's go ahead and get the major distraction out of the way. Let's get it done. Let's get the water under the bridge. Let's get it all taken care of. Let's talk about R5 and no, just kidding. Let's talk about Zeb. Let's talk about Zeb Orellios, the Lasat, the Spectre from Ghost Squadron. I mean, from Star Wars Rebels, the Lasat, the oh my gosh, he was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I going to ask you for your reaction, David, here in a second, but I got to tell you, when I first watched this episode, the day it was released that morning, I had taken my daughter to school. I stopped at Chick-fil-A to get breakfast. I was sitting I did curbside. I was sitting in the parking lot waiting. So I went ahead and I turned it on my phone so I could start watching it because I was running out of time and I knew I had to get to work. So I started watching it on my phone. There's a car sitting to the left of me, a car sitting to the right of me, waiting on their food as well. And I'm watching it. And all of a sudden we get to that planet where we're coming in on this base. And I'm like, well, I wonder where we're going. And then I see a Y-Wing. I'm like, oh, cool. A Republic base. We're going to see Hera. Oh my gosh, we're going to see Hera. And I'm like getting totally psyched up. We're going to see Hera Syndulla. We're going to see Hera. And where there's Hera, there's Chopper. Oh my gosh, I'm going to see Chopper and Hera. And I'm like stoked. I am like no longer sitting back in my chair in the front seat of my car. I am like up on the edge of the seat, pressed up into my steering wheel, staring at it. And when that big purple galoot walked into the shot, I screamed so loud that both people in the cars next to me were glaring at me. I lost it.
Yeah.
Saying I lost it is an understatement. I screamed. I was yelling. I probably said a few things I shouldn't have because I was so overly excited. But man, he was right there on screen, big as life himself, Zeb Orellios. I was speechless. I mean, I wasn't speechless. I was saying a lot of things. I was screaming a lot, and yelling, and I definitely said Carabast a few times in there, which probably confused them even more. But yeah, that was my reaction to seeing Zeb walk on the street because I did not think I would ever see it. I got to know, Dave, when he walked on screen, how did you feel? What was your reactions? How did you feel? What happened when you saw him?
I think for me, I was more in shock. I think it was more just my jaw kind of went down. I'm like, just staring. I'm like, what? And then when he started talking, I immediately thought about Star Wars weekends when I had my kids meet Steve Bloom and his voice. And like you said, I think I might have said it, both of us. I didn't need to hear the voice to know it was him. I thought it was so neat how they translated him from animated to live action. And, I think for me, I've always been so excited at your excitement, you ever, and I think our listeners know this, you ever laugh when someone else is laughing? You don't even know what they're laughing at, but you laugh because they're laughing. and when Chopper showed up in Rogue One, I remember you were just over the moon. You know, I mean, I just the whole, you know, Rebels experience, and you know, I really started recording with you. In fact, gosh, it just came to me. My very first time I think recording with you was Legend of the Lasat,
Yep.
and doing that. And I love, oh God, I love that episode, and the music and the sound and Kevin Kiner's, oh my gosh, just brings back great memories. So a lot of Zeb memories, Rebels memories. And I just started thinking, Aaron, who has, I mean, we know Sabine and Hera are going to be Ahsoka. We know that because we've seen that. What's that?
We've seen him in the trailer for Ahsoka.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, well, I guess Kanan and Ezra are the two that I guess we could talk about Thrawn too, but really in terms of the Ghost crew.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Am I right, buddy? Or am I?
No, that's literally all we're missing. I mean, looking at the main Ghost crew, Harrison Dula, Zeb Orellios, Sabine Wren, Kanan Jarrus, and Ezra Bridger.
Yeah.
Unless they do a flashback or he shows up as a Force ghost, Kanan's out.
True.
We know Sabine is going to be live action. We've seen her from the back in the trailer. Same for Hera Syndulla.
Mm-hmm.
Seen her from the back in the Ahsoka teaser. We just got Zeb.
Mm-hmm.
And the speculation is we will see Ezra before the end of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's there. It's there to have a full Rebels cast in live action before. I mean, of course, Chopper. I mean, Chopper's been in live action. We haven't seen him yet in these shows, so he would need to make an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I have no doubt he will. Wherever there's Hera, there's Chop. That's like, white and rice. You can't have them separated.
That's right. That's
right.
Right.
Have them together. Although it would be fun. I will admit, now that Zeb has been put in live action,
mm-hmm.
I do need some Zeb frustrations with Chopper.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, chasing after him. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and or something bad happening to Zeb and Chopper just rolling away, snickering, tossing some bolts from the chair he just sat in and fell apart away.
Yeah.
I will say I was slightly disappointed we didn't get a Carabast.
Oh, I think that'll be in.
But it will be priceless when it does.
Oh, it'll be in Ahsoka. I can't imagine it won't be. And, gosh, it's such a part of our recording. And when we make our mistakes, it's our signature statement. And so, yeah, this, for our listeners, they know this is big time for you and me. You have a hat.
Yes, I have a hat that says Carabast 3 times on it.
Oh.
And literally, I will say this too. When I got back home, and before I turned it back on to finish it, I put that hat on and backed it up to the Zeb walking in and watched it again to finish the episode out.
We're fanboying out, man.
I may or may not be wearing the Carabast hat right now.
May or may not. Okay.
I may or may not be wearing it now.
I think I know the answer. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But it was really cool and really well done. It was cool to see him in New Republic gear.
Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to mention too. Is he was in a flight suit.
Yeah.
He was in a pilot's flight suit, which is something we've never actually seen him in before, and which I thought was quite unique.
Dude, I thought he looked really cool in that.
He looked sweet, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I was so impressed. And again, this ties into another one of our talking points is that, I think, a lot of people didn't even see the sneak guest appearances because of Zeb. And I had to go back. I've watched this episode several times, and I'm like, wait a minute. That's Deborah Chow right there. I know her face from, seeing her in a previous episode of The Mandalorian in season 1, but also from, the Obi-Wan documentary. She's in it quite a bit with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. And I'm like, wait, that's her. And so I backed it up several times. I'm like, wait a minute, that's Rick Famuyiwa. And then, oh, wait, there's Dave Filoni, and of course their characters when they flew in on the X-wings, right, and bombed that space station, right. Dave Filoni is Trapper Wolf, Rick Famuyiwa is Jib Dodger, and Deb Chow is Sash Ketter.
Absolutely, and they did phenomenal.
Yeah, they were perfect. Just kind of acting, nothing sticking out, And I'll tell you this: Dave Filoni's hat looks very much like Cad Bane's hat. Watch that more than his typical cowboy hat. Yeah.
Yes. If it fit in quite nicely,
it did.
Makes me wonder if he got it from Cad Bane.
That's what I was wondering. Versus it looking like a traditional Western cowboy hat, it looks Star Wars cowboy. Yeah.
Maybe after the shootout, they flew out to investigate and like, hey, I like this hat. Popped it on and walked away with it.
I know.
You never know. I just made canon.
Yeah. It's just got a little meta there. I was thinking,
Dun, dun, dun.
Dave Filoni exploring Moff Gideon escape. Wait a minute. My mind is starting to get messed up here a little bit. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. But no, Zeb was awesome. Seeing them, I really like seeing them, especially because it fits so nicely with their appearance in season 1 in the X-Wings. Very cool.
Yep. It really did. It worked out. It turned out beautifully, to say the least. So I loved seeing them in there as well. Even though their appearance was overshadowed by a big purple galoot, it was fun to see them in there. All right. Well, let's actually dive into more of the story here, into some of the other talking points we have, because this was really, besides Zeb, was a fantastic episode. And we got to see a lot of cool things happen in this episode. I mean, with the pirate attack on Nevarro, which was incredible. It honestly kind of gave me almost a, and I know we're talking a lot about Rebels in this episode, but it kind of reminded me of the finale of Rebels, with the Ron Star Destroyer sitting over Lothal, and they started bombing down the capital city to try to get the Rebels to come out of to surrender. It kind of did the same thing for me there as well. The way the ship was just sitting overhead and then just turned its guns on the city and the population. It was very reminiscent of it for me. The only difference is, instead of a bunch of Purgils, we got an N1 starfighter and a gauntlet. Yeah,
that took it out finally. I was going to ask you something and really even comment on it, because you went right to that ship that I guess they call it a Corsair, whatever, battleship. But when you see it up in the sky there, you sit there and you're like, gosh, it looks so realistic, and I'm not sure how they're doing that. It looks so good. When it's shooting missiles down at the city, it just looks so good. And I mean, and like you mentioned, the gauntlet and the N1 flying through the skies, the snub fighters that come off of Gorian Shard's ship. And I love the shape of that ship, like a bird of prey, and I loved everything about that sequence. Being in the sky, and Mando pulling them away from the city to a degree to allow Bo-Katan to slide in there and drop two groups of Mandalorians down. the action was great. Like you said, besides Zeb, it's like, that was a short clip there. And then all this action is just, it's great. And Aaron, I don't know, how much does this cost? Because you and I know that, stuff can look pretty cheesy pretty fast with a low budget, but everything looked good in this.
Oh, I know. It was fantastic to watch. I mean, everything was as realistic as it possibly could be. And it was just, and it was incredible to see. It looks like, I don't know. It looks like from what I'm seeing, I don't know how much I trust that source. It's looking like Mandalorian season 3 was costing about $15 million an episode.
Oh, wow. And that kind of makes sense if some of the Game of Thrones stuff, and I've never watched Game of Thrones. I just didn't have time in raising kids. But I would hear people rave about that, Aaron, and say that was at about 10 million. And that was a while ago. So up at about 15 million per episode, that can start making stuff look like this, like I wish I didn't know there was the volume, because I wouldn't think about it. And, in season 1, you're like, how did they do all that? And now, they did the behind the scenes and we know there's that. But again, going back to this scene of that ship up over Nevarro and the way they film it from below and it's shooting missiles down and from above and different angles. And man, when it crashes back behind the city into the mountains, I'm like, that's a lot of money, man. Going back to Saturday morning serials, Aaron, I mentioned, my dad remembers, Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, and, they got the little silver spaceships up on strings and, you're sitting there, see the strings. Okay. And the little smoke coming out the back. I can visualize several of the old clips I've seen many times, but this is so realistic looking. And yeah, 15 million times 8 episodes.
Yeah. That's a lot.
You're up at your movie level now, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely you are. And they've made it work.
Yeah.
They've squeezed every penny out of it. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
So, fabulous. All right. Let's do this. We got a lot to talk about, and we got so much more to do. We're going to take a very quick break, and we will be right back to talk more of The Mandalorian. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David here. We're talking The Mandalorian. Had to get ourselves reset because, Zeb, but we're talking The Mandalorian, chapter 21, The Pirate. We're talking about the ship, the Corsair over Nevarro, and of course we want to talk some more about that battle itself, because that was such a huge part of the episode, was the Mandalorians coming in and doing this battle. And you, of course, before the break, you were talking about how Mando came in and distracted the ship and got it away from the city, so Bo-Katan could come in the gauntlet and drop these teams of Mandalorians in. And I loved actually seeing this happen in real life. We've seen this happen before in Rebels. I believe we saw it I've seen it in the Clone Wars, where the gauntlet just opens up, the bottom of the ship just opens up, and all of a sudden rows of Mandos just fall out of the ship with their jetpacks going. And to see this happen in real life on live action was incredible for me. I thought it was just excellent. And then, of course, the combat in the streets was just so good. It was just very intense, very close quarters. It was a lot of action. And I'm sorry, that monkey lizard in the tree warning the Mandos bad guys were around the corner, priceless.
I never thought I'd see them be helpful.
Priceless. Oh my gosh. the monkey's like pointing, and all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, I think we're walking into an ambush, boys."
Yeah. Well, I was trying to remember, did the pirates shoot at them before or after? Because maybe the monkeys were mad because like you shot at us. So yeah, well, we're telling the Mandos you're coming.
Well, knowing the pirates, they probably took a few pot shots at the monkeys. They probably wanted something to grill and to roast. As we've seen before, monkey lizards are good for that.
Yeah.
So they probably took a few pot shots at him, and this was, karma.
Yeah, yeah.
But your thoughts, man? Well, how did you? I mean, we've talked about the air battle. Let's talk about the ground battle. How did you enjoy the ground battle?
Oh, it was kick butt. The Mandos came in, like you said, seeing them drop. We saw that in the trailer for season 3, and we were trying to figure out when is that happening, because it looks like they're going. We just didn't know if it was ill intent or good intent, when we saw these Mandos dropping into Nevarro. But man, I love how it was done. I loved when Paz Vizsla comes in and just mows down a bunch of these pirates. It was very cool. Now you got me thinking about something, seeing the armor sneak up behind that Trandoshan.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Take out those people. And so she's going all stealth while the other Mandos are down on the city streets, and that's up in Grief Karga's main office. And your take out that Trandoshan that was pretty sweet. So it also was fun to see the Anzellans again and them cheering on the pirates being, knocked down, because, when Grief led the citizens out into the lava flats, I was looking around. I'm like, where's my Anzellans? And then I'm like, they're probably down in their little area, kind of fortified down under there. And so I thought that was really fun to see them. And I didn't want them to yell, hey, hey. I got
hey.
So it was just fun. And, like I said, great action, man. Like in the skies, on the ground. I mean, this is Star Wars goodness, man. And wow, again, that is expensive stuff and very well done. But yeah, just love seeing the Mandos just decimate the pirates. So cool.
Oh, it really was. It was very cool to see them work their way through the city and ultimately to victory. And of course, as we discussed in the synopsis and everything, they're there to help because of the pirate attack and everything, and mainly because Mando convinced them that with the land that Grief Karga offered him, it was time for the Mandalorians to, instead of hiding all the time, to come out into the light and let the kids play in the sun again and actually have a place to call home where they don't have to hide. And this ended up working out for them because they did end up getting the land, everything from what they called the lava flats to the Bullock, Bullock Ridge or something like that, which of course was a nod to Jeremy Bullock.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome. The original Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very nice. Whether it was a purpose or not, I don't know, but that's how I took it. Is a nice little nod to Jeremy.
I'm glad you said that. I didn't even put that together. There was so much. There was so much in this episode. Oh man, I really like that you said, because that's how he spells his last name.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it was. It just fit perfectly. I mean, it was the perfect little nod. I in my opinion, to the late Jeremy Bullock, who was the original Boba Fett in the original trilogy. So,
no, thank you for saying that, man.
You're welcome.
That's cool.
You're welcome. So, let's keep going here because there's still a lot. Let's talk a little bit about Carson Teva. I mean, this guy is all over the place in the Mandalorian universe. He's a pilot. He's a ranger with the New Republic. He's the one that basically recruited Cara Dune to become a marshal there, which ended up being a pivotal part in season 2. But he is literally all over the place. He's in. We see him there on the base. He's kind of making a name for himself. But I'm beginning to like this character more and more, to the point that, I know they shelved Rangers of the New Republic.
Yep.
After the whole incident with Gina Carano, which we're not going to get into that here. I don't want to talk about it. We're not going to. Whatever side you're on, it don't matter. Point is, the show got shelved. We're not going to get into that kind of debate. But
yeah,
the show got shelved. I would say I would like to see the show brought back under his lead.
Well, no, I'm with you, because, you just start putting it together. You start wondering how much of this would have been maybe not in Rangers of the New Republic. Like, for example, you and I just got done talking about Zeb and his cool New Republic, flight suit. I could see him out there as a Ranger along with Carson Teva and several other people. And so, you feel like they've melded some of that stuff, some of the characters and storylines that would have been there into these episodes of Mando. I like I mentioned in my initial reactions, I really like the actor who plays Carson Teva, and I just like him. I like seeing him interact with Mando, and I love how he was in season 1, in season 2 as well, right? When Mando goes down fast onto that ice planet, with the ice spiders, him and Dave Filoni show up. So I've really liked him, but in this role, seeing someone in the New Republic do the right thing compared to what we've seen, in some of these previous episodes about the struggles of the New Republic. So yes, I'm really enjoying him, and yes, I would like to see Zeb with him and some other people as Rangers of the New Republic. I'd love to see it.
Oh, so would I. I think it would be phenomenal, and his story was all over the place in this episode, because he's at the base, then he ends up going to Coruscant. So we got to return to Coruscant, where he met with the Colonel.
Yep.
Which was played by Tim Meadows, ironically. I actually had to do a double take on that. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Tim Meadows.
The ladies' man.
Yeah. Oh gosh, lady man.
Oh yes. Oh, that was skit.
Oh my gosh, that skit.
He kills me, man.
For those of you who don't know, Tim Meadows used to be on Saturday Night Live, and is incredibly funny guy. And Ladies Man, of course, was one of his skits, recurring roles on Saturday Night Live. So if you're too young to remember that, know what we're talking about, YouTube it. Y'all won't regret it. No. It's so funny. I'm gonna have to do that after we're done. Now I got Ladies Man stuck in my head. But we see him on Coruscant. We see him interacting with the Colonel. Get us back on course, and of course, we see, Kane show up. And of course, I'm still trying to put my finger on what her role is, because I can't tell if it almost to me feels like she's trying to run interference for the Imperials. But at the same point, some of the arguments that Teva was making with these pirates being connected with he gets gut telling him these pirates are somehow connected with Gideon and everything is kind of interesting, but kind of out there. And that's kind of the point that, Kane was trying to make. And it's just kind of a little crazy there, seeing how she did. You couldn't tell if she was just actually trying to make an argument on why they shouldn't, or if she was actually really trying to run some interference because there really is something there. They're doing a good job with that character. What are your thoughts on her in that scene?
Yeah, when we saw her in The Convert, right? Was that 2 episodes ago, right? 2 episodes, and her and Dr. Pershing and all that kind of stuff. It feels to me, and again, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are purposely doing this, just giving us little breadcrumbs, but it feels like she's probably still working for Gideon, and Gideon is under someone even bigger because of like what we've talked about with with that episode, the beginning and end, the bookends of that Convert episode, which really primarily focuses on Elia Kane and Dr. Pershing. We see a lot of TIE bombers and TIE interceptors, over Kalevala, and of course TIE bombers bombing Bo-Katan's castle, her home, and again they give us the information that that can't be from a warlord like Moff Gideon. So I think they've laid enough breadcrumbs to let us know. It could be a scenario too, right, buddy, where Elia Kane and Moff Gideon don't even know, is there someone at a level above them, and even further up it's the Emperor and stuff like that, and his, I don't know, I guess would we say his followers, acolytes on X. I don't know if all of them are there. Some are trying to lead things. Of course, we've got the First Order coming up as well. So there's some options, but that's the sense I get, is that Elia Kane is still working for Gideon, and Gideon might know who's above him, but not really the high up plan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm struggling with that because to me, my gut is telling me that she's playing dirty. She's still working for Gideon. They're working an ultimate plan to bring down the Republic, and I just can't figure out what that plan is yet. But at the same point, the way it's going about, it's just enough to make you go, is she really still working for the Empire? Is she actually trying to help? Because some of the stuff she's saying and some of the stuff she's doing is kind of, could be construed as, just, being devil's advocate and stuff. So it's kind of got me kind of up in the air on where she stands.
Well, I think her doing the Mind Flayer thing to Pershing really conveyed, I don't know that she really wants what's best for the New Republic, especially what he was wanting to do in terms of cloning organs to help people and stuff like that. Of course, she might think in her mind, no, that's not good either. This is dangerous, But I hear you. They're trying to put some ambiguity in there, but yeah.
They're doing good at it.
Yeah, they are.
They're doing good at it. That they are. So
yeah.
So let's keep going here, because we were talking about the Carson Teva still, and he tracks Mando down through an old buddy from the rebellion.
Yeah.
And of course, you're thinking it's everybody. He says that, and everybody's going. Everybody, all the Mandos are kind of looking at each other like, okay, which one of you betrayed us? And then out rolls R5.
Yeah.
Considering at the beginning of A New Hope, R5 is in a crawler with a bunch of Jawas with a busted motivator. Makes me wonder how Teva knew him.
Well, that and, I put it in the show notes. I wanted to bring it up and ask you and see what our listeners think. Like, I just put the R5 connection with Carson Teva, because if we go back to episode 1 of this season, Mando is wanting IG-11. But when he goes to meet with Pelimoto, she ends up saying, well, why don't you take, R5 here? And of course, his, front panel falls off and she's trying to hold it on. And, and she said, hey, he can fit in the droid slot and all that. Just as I'm saying this to you, I'm like, wait, is there going to be is Pelimoto work for the New Republic undercover on Tatooine? Like, why does she, does she know that R5 is, connected to Carson Teva or has those capabilities? It leaves me kind of scratching my head wondering how that all worked. Was that on purpose, her giving R5 to Mando? Is she part of this? Is she have nothing to do with it? Is this just Carson Teva going, hey, I'm going to send out a signal to old droids that I've fought with. Yeah, let's do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, so there's something going on there. Yeah.
I mean, it very well could be that any droid that served in the rebellion that's still around has a sub program in there somewhere that makes them informant.
Yeah.
Very well could be that's the situation. Who knows?
Yeah. And why would he think, well, one of them is going to be in a Mandalorian covert? You see what I'm saying?
Well, he probably gets reports regularly from, it's probably what it is. It's kind of like, you have a source, all these government agencies, they have their sources in place that just kind of regularly feed them information and random status reports of what's going on. Hey, I'm with Pelimoto in Mos Eisley.
Okay.
Hey, I'm still with Pelly. Oh my gosh, I'm still with Pelly. Somebody help me. Hey, Pelly gave me to Mando. Hey, Mando just dumped me on abandoned burnout rock of Mandalore. Oh my gosh, these creatures on the underground of Mandalore nearly killed me. Mando saved me. Bo-Katan saved Mando.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hear you. That, considering all the data tapes that we saw Dr. Pershing dealing with, and all the data tapes we saw Colonel Tuttle, Tim Meadows dealing with, I'm sure Teva's got quite a bit of information coming in too. That could be it. That might be, but you know what I'm saying here.
I know exactly what you're saying, but
like,
I know exactly what you're saying.
A little too convenient there, but I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they're going to reveal, maybe more about that, maybe not. I don't know.
Can you imagine if he was feeding information to the rebellion this whole all through the rebellion, just like he is now the New Republic? Hey, I'm with the Jawas. Hey, this farm boy is about to buy us. Oh man, I blew a motivator.
Here's a whole.
I'm back with the Jawas. It stinks.
They do one on him from a certain point of view, and the Star Wars from a certain point of view.
Yes.
I got to reread that. Of course, I'm looking at it right now from a certain point of view, Empire Strikes Back. And of course, Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view will be coming out. And our friend.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, Jason Fry, he's written one in all three.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, I just wanted to bring that R5 thing up. I was like, wait, what? How does that work? That was, I mean, yeah.
I'm willing to bet he's programmed to send random quote unquote status reports to Republic intelligence.
I like that. It makes perfect sense what you said. I can go with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay. So let's hit on these final two two subjects here, real quick, which of course is the conversation between Bo-Katan and the armorer. How the armorer has, kind of changed her position and her look on things. Once Bo-Katan has told her that she saw the mythosaur, then how Bo-Katan has carried herself with the rescue of Ragnar, and now, of course, the battle on Nevarro. And now she sees in something in Bo-Katan that Sabine saw in Bo-Katan when she gave her the Darksaber, and that a lot of people have seen in Bo. She's a leader, and the armorer feels that makes a statement that she feels that she can walk both sides of the line and unite the Mandalorians to retake Mandalore, both those who walk the way and those who don't.
Yeah.
So she's putting, Bo-Katan already has her doubts, but now she's putting a lot of more weight on her shoulders for something that she's already done. And now we get to see how she handles this, because, as we saw earlier this season, she has her doubts. She's doubting herself. She doesn't have the Darksaber. All her followers had left her. Was alone in her castle, pretty much sulking. So she's got a level of self-doubt, which if this is the way that we're going, she's going to have to overcome that self-doubt and that the confidence issue to get the job done.
Yeah. Well, you got me thinking about something. I've been doing the psychology corners on mentoring. Here's the armorer. It feels like in a mentor role to her, to Bo-Katan, and encouraging her and saying, hey, you can do this. You can walk both sides. You know how to do the Children of the Watch. You know how to do it, which is more orthodox, and you know how to do the less orthodox approach. And I do feel like, I thought about something as you were talking, buddy. I'm visualizing the scene where Bo-Katan has the Darksaber in Rebels, holds it up, and all of the Mandalorians are united under her. Mm-hmm. However, we learn that she didn't earn the Darksaber the way that one is supposed to per their lore, which is in battle. So it feels like Dave Filoni is like, yes, let's have that in Rebels, but there's such a continuing storyline. I want to show her, here's one way. She didn't do it the way that traditions said, but now she's going to do it, in the way that the traditions say. And I don't know if it's going to be maybe a new tradition. Maybe it's not so much she has to have the Darksaber, but she rides the mythosaur. Again, I'm getting Book of Boba Fett vibes with the Rancor here. Maybe I'm completely off on that, but maybe that will be the thing that, really shows people, hey, this is even bigger than the Darksaber. The myth of the mythosaur, even bigger than Tar Vizsla building the Darksaber. The mythosaur is a longer running myth than even, the Darksaber. So I think Dave Filoni just doing master storytelling, saying, hey, I want to tell this part about how this happened to Bo-Katan when she was really young. And now here she is in this role of almost, and in my mind, Aaron, I don't know what you think, almost like being put into this savior role. You're going to save us. You're going to unite us. You're going to bring us back together, even on Mandalore,
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I can see that, but one thing to think about too, and keep in the back of your mind, the Darksaber is hers. Mando was defeated by the creature on Mandalore when he was captured. She came in, rescued him. She came in, defeated that creature.
Okay.
Which made the Darksaber hers. So technically, Mando is the one being cursed right now because she gave it back to him.
Oh, interesting.
So technically, if you're looking at if you want to go by there, you got to defeat the person to get it. Mando was defeated. He was captured, and they were sucking the life out of him.
Literally.
They had taken his weapons. He was captured. He was strapped down. He was dying. Bo-Katan came in, defeated and killed the captors with the Darksaber, which she reclaimed.
Yeah.
And beat the captors and destroyed the captors. That Darksaber is hers.
Okay, I didn't know if we were going with that. Okay.
That's how I'm going. That's what they showed on screen. That's what I saw. That is what happened. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to interpret it any other way.
Yeah, I just didn't know. Okay, I thought, of course, my interpretation is she has to battle Mando, but we really don't want that. I like your version.
No, this was how this was the perfect.
Yeah.
That was the perfect way to get her back in possession of the Darksaber. Mando was defeated by the robot slug guy from Lost in Space.
Right.
They're on Mandalore.
Well, like he beat Moff Gideon, this thing beat him, and then she beat it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she beat it by rule.
Yeah.
That Darksaber belongs to Bo-Katan.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's how I see it.
Very interesting.
Hey, y'all, let us know what y'all think. Does Bo-Katan own the Darksaber? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Let me know what you think.
Interesting.
I'd love to hear from you on that. So, all right. Well, last things first, let's get this last talking point done, which of course is Moff Gideon, dude.
Yes.
Moff Gideon. So we heard rumors in the beginning of the season that he didn't make the trial. He escaped before trial. And other people are, no, he was trialed and executed. No, he escaped before trial. Well, now there's pretty much evidence that he escaped trial because there were holes blown in the side of that Lambda class shuttle that they're calling a prison transport.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And all the prison guards and pilots' bodies are just kind of floating there in the dead of space, in 0G vacuum of space inside the transport, and there's no sign of Moff Gideon. And Carson Teva hits the hammer on the head. This was an extraction.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And then the question is, who done it? Because there's evidence saying the Mandalorians did it.
Yeah,
but I don't think they did.
I think it's a plan.
It's a setup.
Yeah, it's a setup. Someone put that there.
And who's the perfect person to put it there? The guy who had the Beskar and destroyed Mandalore to begin with.
Moff Gideon.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
his troops.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guarantee you they planted some Beskar there, which I think is everybody's acceptance. I mean, I don't see the Mandalorians going and freeing him. When they were talking about going into Nevarro, the armorer even says, "We have no ships."
Well, that and remember at the beginning of this episode, they did the previously on the Mandalorian. They showed a clip, which is from Book of Boba Fett, episode 5, which is, again, we've all affectionately called Mandalorian season 2.5. Yep. And Paz Vizsla said, you know what happened to Moff Gideon, and Mando says, he was going to be taken in front of the New Republic War Tribunal and tried for his crimes. And Paz Vizsla said, death would have been, justified for his atrocities, which is, again, bombing, the Night of 1,000 Tears, which we saw. And so why would, Mandalorians would go there just to kill him, not to break him free.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then they would have been proud of it too. They wouldn't have. It would have been well known in the covert. So it's not something they would have just kept quiet.
Exactly.
So no, I don't think. I would put money down that they had nothing to do with it.
It's
Although
yeah,
Paz is a Vizsla.
yeah,
And the Vizslas don't have a good track record when it comes to the Empire.
true, that is true. I was just thinking as you were saying that, I wonder if Thrawn has gotten away from wherever the Purgils took him. And if he, I don't know, I'm just running some of this through my head.
Well, the way they're setting stuff up with the governor in season 2 of Mando, and of course all these ships that even Bo-Katan's like, there's no way this is a local warlord.
Right.
They're setting this up for Thrawn. He has to be back.
Yeah. And pulling the strings. Yeah.
He's the puppet master.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. And maybe, of course we need Ahsoka in that season coming is to find Ezra, but maybe I don't know. Maybe Thrawn's got some people working for him out here. Elia Kane, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Eli Vanto and the Thrawn is a little close there, but we got a few options, but I think we're honing in on what's going on. I hope.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we are. So, All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our talking points and everything. Any other points before we head into wrapping up our show today?
No, I no other points. I just wanted to give a shout out to Rural Farm Boy. I just wanted to do that. He's someone who is such a supporter of podcasts in general. Listens to so many, always posts about ours, is listening. And I just want to give him a shout out for the positivity and support that he gives us and other podcasts. And so I was like, no, you know what, David, make sure you say that tonight. So I wanted to make sure I said that, and I always like his posts and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's a good one. I appreciate everything he does for the community as a whole. So definitely, I'm glad you did that, as mentioned him as well. So thank you, buddy. We appreciate you.
We do.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and close everything out here. Before we go into our final reactions and David presents his Psychology Corner, we have to take one more break. And then when we come back, you will hear how we grade this episode. Hang around. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David here. We have wrapped up our discussion on chapter 21 of The Mandalorian, The Pirate. So we're going to go into our final thoughts here, our final reactions. David, why don't you go ahead and lead off with that? Give us your final reactions of this chapter of The Mandalorian. Definitely.
I kind of was thinking, for final reactions, what can I say that I haven't already said in terms of, how much I enjoyed this episode, all the different aspects of it. I enjoyed the action, the battles, the storyline being pushed forward with, this upcoming, I think, uniting and retaking of Mandalore. The surprise appearance of our guy, Zeb Orellios, the little appearances by Star Wars creatives, Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa, and Deb Chow, and then the cliffhanger of Moff Gideon having escaped. Boy, does this set up for some fun stuff here in the last 3 episodes here of season 3. So super impressed. You heard me say it earlier. And Aaron looked it up, and if it's in that ballpark, I mean, the money being spent on this, I like how Aaron said it. It's just they're getting every penny out of it because it looks incredible, from the space battles to the aliens. I mean, even the little Anzellans and just everything in between. Incredible, just incredible. So yeah, there's just some of my final reactions, and I hear my dinging going off, and I apologize for that. I'm not sure what's going on. I'll make sure my wife turns that off, notifications. Let's see if I can do that right now while we're talking.
Worries.
All right.
No worries. For me, this was just a fantastic episode. I could spend hours talking about every little detail of Zeb and his costume, and then of course of the episode itself. It was just a fantastic episode. It was, some people would call it, just a fan work, and it's not. It was and it wasn't. It told a fantastic story. It got the ball rolling and set up for a fantastic rest of this season. And I cannot wait to see where this goes. The music, phenomenal. Zeb was great. The Mando action on the planet and in the air was awesome, and Zeb was great. And Carson Teva's story and his actions throughout this, and just becoming such a likable character, was just perfect. And Zeb was awesome, and it was just, doesn't get much better than this. Carabast. So,
Nice.
so of course, as everybody knows, we do grade episodes as you would if you got a grade in school. A, B, C, D, or F is what you get for the episode. So for me, this is easily an A. No ands, if, buts, whats, or coconuts about it. It's an A, hands down, for me. How about you, David?
Absolutely. A for me. I have a real feeling that we got an A plus coming up here in these last 3 episodes. And so I got a feeling. And but yes, solid A for everything we've said in initial reactions, talking points, and final reactions.
Excellent. Well, of course, we want to know what you think of the episode. You can, of course, hit us up on any of our social medias, Facebook and Twitter at SW Reaction Pod, Instagram, Pinterest, and, of course, on Tumblr, where all of our show notes are housed at SW Reactions. And, of course, you can always email us anytime at swreactions@gmail.com as well. So, with that, that wraps things up. David, I understand you have a psychology for tonight. Carabast. You got a psychology corner for us tonight.
Well, I think it's appropriate that you and I have some Carabast, and we've had a few notifications here. My wife had those turned off, and maybe it got turned back on. She is picking my daughter up at work tonight here, so I don't. So I apologize if there's any more of those, but I am going to get through this psychology corner, whether there's any dings or not. I'm going to be focused. I'm going to be a professional, Aaron. And yes, we do have a psychology corner. I've been doing mentoring in this whole season of season 3 of The Mandalorian. And so once again, we'll look at how Mando did with mentoring Grogu. And look, once again, Grogu's being mentored by more than just Din. He's even learning from Bo-Katan and even Paz Vizsla in this episode. So again, as our listeners know, I have a number of bullet points for how mentoring should look, good mentoring. And so what I'm going to do is, again, as I was going through this episode and typing up show notes, Aaron and I both, type up the show notes together and put these together and make them look nice. I noticed as I was typing, I'm like, man, these things that Bo has said and Din and Paz, I could put them under several of these bullet points. But I thought maybe the best place to put the quotes that I have or the examples is under this particular bullet point. And it's the one that says mentoring that embraces challenging conversations. It knows that tension, misunderstanding, and moments of conflict can occur, but good mentoring navigates them. And I really felt that way, particularly around the fire. Okay, and everyone knows in this episode what that was. We see, it was kind of funny, instead of having the conch or having, the talking stick, Mando had one of the armor's, I don't know, forging tools, right? And I see she used it on the Trandoshan later on in the episode and knocked him over the edge of the railing. So I think everyone knows the tool I'm talking about, but he's holding on to it and he's talking, and you hear Mando petition the covert to help Grief Karga and Nevarro. He says, quote, "Perhaps it is time for us to live in the light once again on a planet where we are welcome, so our culture may flourish and our children can feel what it is to play in the sunlight." I thought that was really cool, him saying that. And for Grogu to hear it, because they cut right to Grogu sitting there while he's saying it. I thought that was neat. It's also really cool, and did not expect to say this, that we see Paz Vizsla saying some stuff that could be really helpful to Grogu. So, for example, we hear him, I don't really do the exact quote here, but you see Paz Vizsla, he throws down and he ultimately shows Grogu, why as Mandalorians they sacrifice and help others. Paz Vizsla points out that Bo-Katan did it for his son, that Din Djarin, Mandalorian, did it for his son. And now here, Paz Vizsla is saying, hey, we did it for you, Grogu, back, in season 1, and we're going to do it again. And we do this and we sacrifice and help others for a brighter future. What a great message for Grogu to hear. All young people need to hear that. How about this? As I was watching the episode again, on the way to Nevarro, you see Bo-Katan. She's given a speech, really, and talking to, the Mandalorians. Grogu can hear it in the N1 Starfighter with Din, and Grogu hears her saying, and I'm kind of paraphrasing Bo-Katan, but she says, "Listen, all of you Mandos, you once lived in the sewers, and now you can be heroes." It's a rousing, motivating speech. And, there's that old saying, when you hear certain coaches, you're ready to run through a wall. Is Bo-Katan saying that? I'm like, let's go. And next thing you know, they're dropping out of the bottom of her ship, So I thought that was a good thing for Grogu to hear. And talking about, again, let's work together. Let's do the right thing. At the end of the episode, all of us hear and see the armorer speaking to all the Mandalorians, and we see Din and Grogu there as well. They see and hear her speaking to all the Mandalorians, and about Bo-Katan, about reuniting all the Mandalorians and retaking Mandalore. Here Grogu is hearing a message of unification. We've had so much division in our culture on so many levels with so many different issues. It's nice to hear some discussion about working together and not battling each other all the time. Aaron, I thought back to episode 2, The Mines of Mandalore, when you see Mando and Grogu and Bo-Katan walking. And she does say to him, what makes her maybe the most sad is how much all of the Mandalorian people have battled each other to allow the Empire to do this to us. And so I think it was, Grogu was there to hear that, and now he's hearing this. And I think these are good messages to hear. Instead of division and divided, divided you fall, right? United, divided you fall. So all good mentoring messages, I think, for Grogu to hear. And so, again, we'll keep doing the Psychology Corner on mentoring over the next 3 episodes, and hopefully people are enjoying it and getting a little bit out of it.
Very good. Love it. Now, of course, if somebody wants to ask you about your Psychology Corner or talk with you about Star Wars in general, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, 2 different places. One is Twitter, David_Modders, Modders. And the other one is at Instagram. Just look up my name, David Modders.
Very good. Very good. And of course, if you want to talk Star Wars with me, the very best place to do that is on Twitter at TAHarris121079. You can hit me up right there anytime, any day, and we can talk Star Wars or anything at all. So we can do it. So, all right, David, my friend, this has been a blast.
It has, man. I loved how you came up with the term. You coined the term March. What is it? March Reactions
Madness.
And I know this is our last one in March. We got more to go, but I love how you came up with that. Enjoyed it. It was a lot to cover, but it was a lot of fun to ultimately react to all these really cool Star Wars shows.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we still have one more episode of March Reactions Madness, which of course will be the Bad Batch finale. That is coming out soon. It's just going to be slightly delayed, probably into April a little bit, as we are waiting on confirmation of a guest for us. So we want to do things right for you. Also, we want to give it just a few extra days, and then we'll wrap everything up there. So, well, David, like I said, this has been fun. Everybody, thank you so much for listening in. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are the best. We appreciate each and every one of y'all. Are praying for y'all. Love y'all. Take care of yourselves. Do some good in the world this week. Never know how it will change your life as well as somebody else's. So remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.